All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. Today's video will be on one of my favorite subjects. You guessed it, comic books. Now, looking back in the day, one of my favorite jobs I had was also one of the first ones shortly out of high school, working in a local comic book store. Wasn't too long after graduating high school, an old friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, I'm opening up a comic book store and need somebody to run it for me." So I said, "Sure, I'll do that." Turned out to be one of the best, most enjoyable jobs I've had since. Of course, that's going to lead me into the topic of this video, 90's gimmick covers. And when I was running a comic book store, it was the early to mid 90's, and it was a crazy and fun time for comic books and comic book fans. I'll get right into it here. If you're wondering what a gimmick cover is, it's just a way to increase sales of books. You got I think one of the best examples of a gimmick cover is the variant cover or multiple cover. Let's see, going by my notes here. This is the relaunch of X-Men #1 in 1991. This was a crazy deal at the time. This was 4 issues. Well, I got 4 issues here, but there were 5 total. The fifth one being a variant of this particular issue. They're all #1, and they all go together to form a little panorama scene like this. Of course, I'm looking at it in my monitor, and of course, it's not all going to fit in my camera view here, but you get the idea. Variant covers, multiple issues, alternate artwork. Those were all popular at the time because who doesn't like getting a special version of a particular comic book? You can go to the extreme. I think if it goes to the extreme, you'll have something like a dozen different variations on the same book, which I think is a little outrageous. But this particular book here, X-Men #1, let's see, going back to my notes because I can't remember it all. This was one of the best-selling books at the time. I'm reading here, it sold over 8 million copies. It's a record that still stands today, which is incredible when you think about it, because I had people lining up in the store to buy all these, thinking they'd be worth something someday, and all the while I was just laughing to myself, thinking, well, they'll be probably worth something, but not what you're hoping for. Not with 8 million printed. So that's the first gimmick cover. Another type of gimmick cover for comic books was the die cut cover. When I say die cut, I mean a portion of the cover was cut away. This is a small example here. This is Shadowhawk #2, issue 1, of course by Image Comics. Bet that shows up great. Black cover on a black background. But anyway, if I hold my hand right here, you can kind of see the portion is cut away, portion of the cover. You got a foil inside cover, so that's kind of neat. That's your die cut cover. And of course, typical Image artwork. Good heavy stock. We got another example of a die cut cover here. This one is, let's see, this here is Wolverine number 50. Of course, you can see the part that's cut away like claw marks. The stock on this cover is not as thick, so it feels kind of flimsy, but you get the idea. Die cut covers. Of course, where you have Wolverine, you have to have Sabretooth. Here's Marvel Comics Sabretooth number 1. There's the die cut part. You open it up. Some really nice artwork there. I got an example of one of the, I don't know, one of the sillier examples of a die cut cover. You got a hole right in the middle here, and the hole goes all the way through the book. I guess some people thought it was humorous at the time, but I think it's kind of silly. I mean, you definitely get the point, like somebody got shot there, obviously. They just wanted to drive that point home. But I really can't think of a reason why you'd want a hole right through the middle of the book. You know, and goes through some bad spots on each panel. Oh, actually, hold on one moment here. You're wondering, does it go all the way through? Yep, it goes all the way through, and you can do that. Yeah, that's just silly. All right, well, moving right along. You had your die cut, you had your variant covers. Another gimmick cover of the early and mid 90s was the foil cover. I got an example of a foil cover book right here. This is Marvel UK, Death's Head Gold, Volume 2, Number 1. Super, super shiny. That's pretty cool looking too. I used to keep up with Death's Head back in the day. Can't remember much from the series or from the original series now. It's probably going to be something I'm going to have to go back and reread. At the time, I used to keep up with the Marvel UK books. Let's see, another example of a foil cover. Valiant Comics Magnus Robot Fighter. This is issue 25. Just lay it flat right there. Nice, super shiny. Also has some embossing on it, or raised lettering, embossing, whatever you want to call it. Moving right along. Of course, when you say foil covers, sometimes publishers did kind of prism foil, get people's attention as you're walking by the shelves at your local comic book store. You're looking at books, then you see one that just catches your eye and demands you pick it up. Everybody was doing it. That's part of the gimmick during the early to mid 90s, gimmick covers. This is Marvel Comics Namor number 37. You get an idea of kind of how shiny that is. Of course, everybody was doing it. I got a few more examples of, well, last example of a prism foil cover. Probably the best known one is Image Comics Wildcats number 2 here. Got kind of a holographic prism foil cover. I kind of like this cover. It's neat. It catches the light. One thing about these old books is seeing ads like this on the back. Like you just order these books off the back of a comic. So that's it for foil covers. Now, related to foil covers are the chromium type covers, which are really, really cool looking. I've got a few examples of chromium covers here. This is Valiant Comics XO Man of War #0. Also, I think this is also another gimmick, the 0 issue, because I can't recall Marvel or DC doing a issue 0 prior to the 90's. I may be wrong, could be wrong on that, but I just don't recall ever seeing a issue 0 prior to the 90's. So it's probably a first for that decade. Now, the neat thing about these chromium covers is not only how they look and how the colors pop and the artwork can be dynamic, is that they are front and back. I'm going to gently open this up, give you an idea here what this looks like. If my camera can get it all in, that's really cool. On the inside, of course, you got the shiny inner chromium cover. There's the outer part that really matters. It used to be big in the Valiant at the time. I remember when Image came out, then Valiant came out, and they're both competing with Marvel and DC, and I just got hooked for some reason on early 90's Valiant books. I don't know why. It could have been the story, could have been the artwork. Got another example of a chromium cover. Valiant went silly with chromium covers. This is Valiant Comics Bloodshot, again #0. This is a crazy cover. Catches the light, and of course, you got artwork on the back. Going to gently open this guy up if I can. There we go. Kind of gives you an idea of what chromium covers look like. Moving right along. Like I said, Valiant just went silly with these chromium covers. This is Ninjak #1. Look at that. There he is, breaking through a window, doing whatever it is Ninjak does. Taking out the people. It wasn't just Valiant, of course, Marvel and a few others. Got a last example of a chromium cover is a Marvel book here. This is Generation X #1. Super shiny. Like all the other chromium books, you got stuff on the back side. So you got your hero team there, and then the big bad on the back cover. So I thought that's a good set of examples for chromium covers. Moving right along for gimmick covers of the 90's, hologram covers. Now, to me, I never really liked hologram covers. I thought they were kind of hit or miss, depending on who did them. I'm trying to get this. I don't know if you can see that or not. I think my camera's getting it. This is Continuity Comics Cyber Rad #1. And It's probably something you have to see in person because, like I said, some people did hologram covers better than others. This is another Marvel book. This is Wolverine, the 100th issue. One massive hologram here. I'm going to try tilting him to see if my camera can get. Well, no, it's a loss. It's catching my studio lights like crazy. Oh, there's my camera in the reflection. Uh, this one is one of the better holograms I've seen. It's just difficult to get in camera. The last example of a hologram I have is what I think is one of the better holograms I've seen on book. This is Marvel Comics. What is this? Avengers X-Men Max Yearbook. Celebrating 30 years of the X-Men and the Avengers. Let's see if I can tilt this around so my camera can get it. Oh, there it is. How about that? Move it around slightly. This, yeah, like I said, this is one of the better examples of a well done hologram cover. Moving along to the next category of gimmick covers. These are solid color books or solid color covers. It's hard to see, but this is actually Fantastic Four number 371. It's embossed. You got some raised detail, raised lettering. And try to move it around so the camera gets the details. But you get the idea. It's just boom, right there. Regular cover on the back. Now another example of a solid color cover or a mono cover. This is Valiant Comics Solar Man of the Atom number 10. And that's it right there. Hardly anything to it. You got some nice embossing on the logo. You got embossing on the Valiant. And that's it. There's really nothing to it. I mean, got some nice, well, it's black cover. So yeah, black on black on black. Moving right along, I got my last example of a solid cover book or a solid color book. I guess this kind of goes back to foil. It's solid foil, uncolored, heavily embossed. This is, what is this? Neil Gaiman's Techno Comics Technophage #1 Steel Edition. You got some kind of big critter with a lot of teeth right on the cover. Of course, it's bagged. It came that way. Came bagged and boarded. It's actually kind of neat. Of course, it being bagged moves right into my next category of gimmick covers or gimmick books. Books that are bagged with either trading cards and or posters. An example of this is Now Comics Tales of the Green Hornet #1, which comes with its own special hologram trading card here. I can do that, move the trading card around. It's actually one of the better holograms I've seen in some time for a trading card. Just trying to shift it around so you can see the hologram better. Oh, there it is. That's kind of cool. Of course, moving right along with bagged books, I got something special here. This is a collector's edition for Icon #1 from DC. Comes with Icon #1, 4 panels of a giant 16-panel mural, exclusive cover poster, and a skybox trading card. All of that in the bag. I think this is kind of neat. I like seeing books that give you extra. You get a book and then you get extra things with it that kind of add to it. I think that's kind of neat there. So as far as gimmick covers or gimmick books, I've gone over some of the popular ones. Now I'm going to touch on, well, 2 of the big storylines in the early to mid 90s. I don't know if I would say it was a gimmick, but it's something that drove up sales. The first one being DC Comics' Batman Nightfall series. Of course, everybody knows who Bane is at this point, and everybody knows the significance of Nightfall, where Bane quite literally broke the bat. This was something that was a huge event at the time. I vaguely remember it. I have all these books in the series, the Nightfall, and then the some of the aftermath after Nightfall. I do remember this being a really big deal. It's unfortunate that we will never get this storyline translated to, say, TV shows or a movie, because they have never done Bane justice. Of course, this is the first big storyline for the last book in this video. I've got one huge storyline. You can probably guess what it is at this point. Yep. The Death of Superman. The only comic book I can remember making the evening news. There I was watching the evening news, and all of a sudden, the news announcer went on about a superhero died today. And of course, the news report was all about Superman right here. Superman #75 with fold out splashback cover, full color memorial poster, full color commemorative stamps, Daily Planet obituary, Black Morning armband, exclusive trading card. All of this in this sealed bag, all for $250. I mean, what a deal. I had people lined up at my cash register, going out the door, down and around the block, waiting just to pick up this one book. That's how crazy this was. Of course, people were buying multiple issues because they were buying at least 2 to keep and then 1 to actually open up, which is crazy. I mean, this is like a variant cover of the comic book. You buy multiple issues because everybody was thinking, oh, someday those will be worth lots of money. Yes, probably be worth lots of money, but not what you think it would be. Of course, this is one that's opened up. This is what is actually inside the sealed bag here. We got our Black Morning armband, our commemorative stamps, the trading card, and of course, you had the collected edition. This is a limited edition collector's set, the complete 7-part story of the death of Superman, Superman Doomsday. We got 20 by 26 full color wall poster, and it comes with a reprint of Action Comics #1. Boom. So that's kind of neat. That is actually the last book in my short little video here on Gimmick covers of the 90s. Hope you all enjoyed. As always, thanks for stopping by. Feel free to subscribe, like, and until next time, everyone, see ya.